So while Paul is doing that, guys, so we're gonna go through his screen. So again, make sure you're watching my screen first, and then we can move on to Paul's screen. I just wanted to kind of go through some of the channels in Discord and show you already and show you some of the links, where to find some of these links, right? So the whole idea behind this class, um, is because Shima was asking, and then a whole bunch of you guys were asking, and then Paul wanted to do it, right? We want to go through some of these filings, right? An S1 filing, a 10K filing. When you see an S1, what does that mean, and how do you read that, and how do you manage your positions with that information, right? So, which is really, really important. So again, the whole idea behind this is so you can understand what to do with these SEC filings and dilution filings, right? So the one channel that you can go to, guys, for a quick lookup is called the Stock Terms channel. Alrighty, so the Stock Terms channel, if you go into this channel, there are a few links in here. There's also a cheat sheet. Alrighty, so if you notice this, we posted this August 5th, 2023. There's a little document in here that goes, that kind of breaks the filings down for you, right? So what an S1, F1 ish is, and S1, and what an effect is. It's a bit of a cheat sheet, and then there's some links in there for some examples, right? So that stuff should really help you if you're interested. Let's see, what's a 10K, right? So a 10K, discloses updated financials and any additional required disclosures since the last quarter, right? So what's an 8K, right? Earnings, business update. What's a 6K? What's an RW? There was a time in the market where every stock that announced an RW would explode, right? I don't know if you guys remember that a few months ago, a whole bunch of companies were doing it, right? They would announce an offering,
It's
and then they would do
it's
the
withdraw,
RW.
yes?
Yeah, the RW, right? And then the
Yeah,
stock,
it's
yeah.
a withdraw of the offering.
Exactly, right? So, company may decide to withdraw a prior registration such as S1 or S3, right? Which is exactly what Paul is saying, right? So it's really important to understand that and say, oh, this company just filed an RW. I don't know what it means. I don't want to look up the filing, but I know what an RW means. So if they're canceling the offering, guess what's gonna happen? The stock is gonna cook, right? And then you FOMO.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So again, what's an SC13D, right? What does that mean? Main difference between an S13D and a 13G is purpose of stake, right? 13D for those with intent on having influence over the company, or 13G for passive investors, right? What's a SC13G/A? What's a Form 4? What's a Form 5? A Form 5 is only filed if an earlier transaction was not reported, right? So what's a Form 3? So again, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that is really, really helpful. You just need to spend the time going through that. So that all of that information again is in the Stock Terms channel already. And if you look in this channel, there's some other stuff in here that'll be really helpful to you as well. And then we also have the trader websites, right? Trader websites. If you go into this channel, it has a whole bunch of stuff too, right? Like delisting and non-compliant company list. This is the stuff that Yi mentioned last week, right? There's an upcoming split list as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that is in the Stock Terms channel, and also in the trader websites channel, for the sake of like dilution and whatnot. So again, thank you, Paul, for wanting to do this, because it makes it easier, because then I could
Oh,
just
no worries. I'm so excited. Never,
yeah.
never show anybody anything, and it's
Yeah.
so good feeling. This is for me like a game.
Yeah.
I start digging. It's so fun when you realize that you can benefit from these feelings in advance,
Yeah.
and you can protect yourself, and you can prepare for a pump, you can prepare for a dump,
Yeah.
you can prepare for dilute.
Yeah.
You kind of speak a language of
Yeah.
the papers
Mm-hmm.
inside the company, and it provides so much. You guys would be amazed.
Yep.
It's so much that it's
Exactly.
basically talk the language, because every single stock which are made a move, there is specifically why.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason for that behind.
Yep.
Every single time, it is even it's a simple spike. even or it's a pump or it's going down, there is always a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
there is the reasons behind the feelings, which are mostly they are very very tiny and not understandable, and there are a lot that people are frustrating just to read or they don't understand, and they're missing so much.
Yep, exactly. Another reminder before we switch over to Paul's screen. Just again, most of you guys are aware of this, but again, looking at my screen, there's a little cool feature that we added, right? So again, looking at my screen, if you type in slash, right, slash, the very first option that's gonna come up is the F, right? You see at the top of my screen there, it's the F, right? So if you click on that F, and you put in a ticker symbol, right? You say, okay, like I'm looking for what's a company that just announced an offering, guys? Paul, what's some a company that just did it like an S1 or like an effect an S1 like an offering?
GCTK
Okay, GCTK, right? So I put in the
did
tickers. Uh huh.
on fifth.
Okay, perfect. So you have to so you do the slash and you do slash F and then you select the option first and then it's gonna ask you for the ticker symbol. So now if I click on enter, right, it's gonna show me this information. By the way, it only shows this information to you. Okay, it's not showing anybody else this information. This is you doing your research. So let's say GCTK is pumping, right? And I look at this information, I'm like, damn, these guys have $346,000 in the bank. You know they're gonna do an offering soon, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. So they're doing an offering. Also, they did a reverse split on the fourth, right? So they only have $346,000. So when this stock is cooking, you know, like okay, maybe I shouldn't hold this stock overnight, right? Because they don't have any cash. They're gonna need to raise money at some point. Otherwise, the company's gonna go bankrupt. Another thing that you have to remember is most of these momentum stocks that we play with, um, really the business models like really suck, right? They don't make a whole lot of money on their business, right? So the way that they make money is by selling their shares, right? So when they don't have a whole bunch of cash and they realize that the stock is pumping up 50%, 100%, 200%, you know what? They want to take advantage of that too. Alrighty, so always remember that. But this is a
Yes.
really cool feature, guys. It gives you the float, right? And then it gives you the short interest, the insider holdings, outstanding shares, and it gives you that cash, right? And then I think if you want to look for cost to borrow and other stuff, you can always click on here and it'll give you some more information. But again, I like using this feature just so I can see that the stock is pumping and I can see the insider ownership and I can see the cash. Those are, and then the float, obviously, right? So those are the three main things that I personally look at. So I'm gonna switch over to I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, guys, and then we can all switch over to Paul's screen. Alrighty, Paul, you're good to go.
Okay, so you now you can see us.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just explain first for those people who doesn't even understand what delusion is and SET stands for. So dilution it happens when the company issues new shares, reducing the ownership percentage of existing shareholders. So basically, if company issues new shares, its net earnings are now divided among more shares, lowering EPS. EPS is earnings per share. So lower EPS often makes the stock less attractive, leading to the price decline. And when the price are decline and stock is more less attractive, investors are just turning away and going looking for the better company. So that's why the price is decreasing. So why the companies usually do those dilutions? So mainly think is for raising capital, paying out of debts, insider or employee compensations, mergers or acquisitions, ATMs at the money and offerings, right? So they need money.
Yep.
For healthcare stocks, for example, they need money for constant innovations, tests and exams and all this kind of stuff. They need money constantly. So the lower caps stocks, that's why they're doing more dilutions,
Yep.
because the banks just don't loan them the money
Yep.
because they are kind of, banks has good companies where to lend the money.
Yep.
And these small cap companies, they can get from bank money, so they're benefiting for selling shares to the public, right? So that's how they're raising the capital.
Yep.
So how to find this kind of specific stocks? which are used to do dilution cycles over and over. So usually stocks below 50 million or 20 million shares float or outstanding and less than 100 million market capitalization. Those kind of stocks, they are used to do the dilutions to raising capital because they're obviously crappy stocks, you know. So most often repeating dilutions because easier to manipulate low float stocks. That's why dilutions often happening. It takes very few capital to spike stock when it's dead on the low float. So to manipulate that kind of stock is very easy. So that's why the float is so minimum that they can manipulate this kind of stuff. Those kind of companies also, they're heavy use warrants and convertibles. That's what retail traders call pump and dump.
Yep.
But company calls this pump and dilute cycle. So they kind of call it like we call it pump and dump. They call it pump and dilute cycle. So the cycle always repeats and they do splits and after splits. And that's how they just always dilute the stock rate by raising the capital. So in dilution, what comes to dilution always must come an offering. So there is three different offerings. There is public offering, there is primary offering, and there is direct offering. So public offering, when company offers shares at the general public through a set price and market mechanics, right? So the public offering is basically when the company says, okay, we're selling the shares at certain price, let's say at $1.87. But current price of the stock is, let's say, $10, right? So investors comes and say, okay, we probably gonna buy if you offer like 10 million shares at your current price, but we want that price to come closer to 187.
Exactly.
So what company do? So company do, okay, we have an agreement. They fill an agreement with another company and say, okay, let's have a deal. If we agree to decrease the price till 187, would you buy 10 million shares? And another investor says, yes, exactly. I will buy 10 million shares for 187. Why not? Either it's in warrants, either it's in pre-funded warrants. It can be a lot of things. So the company uses what? Then they uses shelf registrations, or they issue new securities through S1 and S3 fillings. So we see here S1, initial registration new securities. So it means they are issuing new shares into the market. But when people see this kind of S1 and S3 fillings, that they're issuing new shares into the market, it doesn't mean that this is already happening. When they fill this filling, for example, they want to issue up to 7.5 million shares of common stock, 7.5 million shares on pre-fund warrants. This is exactly, I will notice, pre-funded warrants, why they are very dangerous. If they exercising pre-funded warrants, they can be sold in immediately. The pre-funded warrants, once this comes in effect, active, pre-funded warrants specifically can sell in same second. Either when just warrants like A or B, they have specific agreement on those, or on specific prices, like exercise prices and all this kind of stuff. But pre-funded warrants, they can be sold same second. So that's why sometimes you see when this comes in effect, the price is spiking in 5 minutes and decreasing like 50% instantly, because the investors just exercising the pre-funded warrant, which can be exercised immediately. They just using this kind of spike just to exercise that kind of shares, that piece what they bought. So especially when you see or read those kind of fillings, look carefully for pre-funded warrants. If it's a lot, it's very dangerous to jump in first minute candle like company spike, you know. It's very dangerous because it can decrease instantly because they already have orders at certain price to take a profit. Usually, companies they taking a profits around 20 or 50% premium price above exercise price. So let's say they bought the stock for $2. So the premium would be 20 or 50% above that price.
Mm-hmm.
So usually they take those premium instantly, like 20 and 50%. So they issue those preforms at first. Then comes, the warrants A, warrants B, or some kind of other agreement on certain prices. But usually they exercise this first. Okay. So let's continue then. So yes, this S1 is the first thing you need to notice what comes to the bearish position of the stock. They are preparing to sell the shares into the market. So this is the step one when they have a plans to decrease the stock.
Yep.
So this is the first thing you need to notice. So of course it comes in S1 and comes in S3. When it comes in different letter like F1, it means most likely it's China company feeling. China companies used to, yes, China kind of, they said, oh, we don't want to use S, we want to use F, you know. So this kind of Australia could be China. They usually feeling this like S, F letter, not S. So after this, when let's say now this company issued new securities on 1108, okay? So they issued the securities on 1108. Now what they're waiting back for an answer for Securities and Exchange Commission that this feeling comes in effect. Because without an effect, this feeling, they cannot sell nothing.
Yep.
They cannot touch not single one share without agreement of Security and Exchange Commission. So Security and Exchange Commission gives them an answer maybe around 10 business days between. It could be same day. That's very important. It could be the same day. Maybe the company needs cash as soon as possible, and let's see when we can find this effect. So when you see this other and you see effect over there, so it means it came back on 11/12. So it came back after 4 days. So when you press on effect, you see effect form S1. It's approved. So from now on, when it comes in effect, they can sell shares any single minute.
Mm-hmm.
They can touch it, they can press start button and say we're ready. So all they need is just a good spike or a good news to release, and they instantly have a right. It's not necessary that they must to sell all of it. They can sell partially. Sometimes they're selling in the strength of the move you don't even notice.
Yep.
No? And you like, oh, but they did a dilution, and you see the dilution like 5 million shares. At penny stock, one 5-minute candle has more shares. And you said, oh, they did the dilution for 5 million. You probably didn't even notice.
Yeah.
If they had just kind of no stuff. When they have a feeling and offering for $200 million worth of shares, then you're gonna feel it. But then they're gonna do it separately in the next day after the stock is already, on consolidation, and they just slowly, without any participants like you, me, and everybody else, they just do this more quietly. But yes, those kind of feelings is very important. That's what's the first thing you need to be noticed. S1 or S3, like here on another stock, S3 shelf registration, till November 13, and came in effect. Actually, came in effect later, 12/27. Mm-hmm. Something was happened because after above the shelf registration, it is S3 with A. It means amended. Amended means something updated or added. Yep. So something was wrong in the first filling. So they did an amended after some changes happened in the company side. So it was amended at 12/10 and came in effect 12/27. So between that time, when you see the S3 or S1 filling and it has no effect yet, it's a very good chance that between that until they waiting the answer, the stock can spike, the stock can hook. It's very good chance. Then you start looking to the chart, and then you look or the prices at, for example, all-time lows,
Yep.
or they have filled a 8K agreement on like offering public for a certain price, like 185 or 150 at the lows, And if the price lays there, probably when they come in effect answer, they're not gonna sell at $1, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So it means something is already happening. They prepare for pump and dilute cycle. So they are already preparing this cycle, and you probably will know what's gonna happen. So let's say the next step, I start looking once I see this in effect. These are active, and I see probably some small float stock release the news, and I immediately gonna want to read how much pre-funded warrants they have.
Mm-hmm.
And probably if they have none, they have only A and B warrants or just stock common, they're not gonna dump instant. The stock can rise at like, we don't know how much, but from the bigger price they're gonna dilute, the better for them,
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's not 100% that it's gonna sell. So there is steps. Comes to the more steps which I always look. Then I'm gonna go to the ownership.
Yep.
Then I'm gonna go to the ownership. Okay, this is kind of not good an example here. Then I'm gonna go to the ownership, and I'm looking for 4. Number 4, it means form 4 filling. Okay. So once you press the form 4 filling, this is tales of insiders and directors and financial officers, the transaction happening inside the company. So what you kind of looking for, if you are expecting of the spike up, like a bullish sentiment, or you're looking for is code P or code B. So code P means that somebody will purchase the stocks, or either this, in this case, warrants to purchase with their own money. So if you put your own money, so it means it's you're trying to get profits from this, yes?
Yeah.
So it definitely price gonna raise from that point. That's just 90%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a price at which price it was pushing, and how much shares. The bigger the size of the shares, that is the better for bullish sentiment, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's code P. So it means insider purchase for his own money. There is the codes which are also need to be avoided, or so code B is obviously buy. So when the company buys it, something, it's also bullish sentiment, because you, like you and me, everybody, we buy and we expect to sell at the bigger price as a for profit, right? So insiders the same. So they just buy the stock at a certain price, and they expect increase the stock price later on, and they sell on the high. You just don't know exactly sometimes when and what time, and sometimes people get caught on this sell-off, and they saying it's a scam, or it's kind of not a scam. It's kind of company does this job. Obviously, they told you in the papers what we're gonna do. You just start in their way.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about you at all.
Exactly.
They don't give a damn about you at all.
Yep.
So like you try to go and stock tweets and spam a scam. So it's just funny stuff. Funny, company insider can sit and laugh at you and say another,
Yeah.
beginner, or you don't know what you are saying.
Yeah.
But once you understand the sentiment of that, you know the language, what they're trying to tell, because that's everything has a reason, right? So company cannot scam you just like this. Chinese sometimes have this, but they also get caught in later on, and it's minimized. So they must to fill these feelings to Security and Exchange Commission to make sure that commission looks at these papers, make sure there is nothing shady going on. And that's why those papers are just literally placed on filings that you can see, and this is kind of security protection for you too.
Yep.
This is kind of, they must to show this. They must to fill this kind of stuff, because without these papers, I never would trade that stock.
Yep.
It's the same as roulette or casino or 50-50 or lottery ticket. Is then you're gonna gamble literally like that.
Yep.
So if you understand everything what's happening inside the company, it's so much easier, so much easier. So let's say about the codes of it's very important ownership option. So the codes can be F, like the code P, it could be F. So the F means payment, exercise price, or they just raising the capital for tax. Usually when the code is F, the shares is very low, like 2,000, 3,000, or 4,000, something like that. So they're just raising money for paying taxes, or who knows what, for somebody's maybe trip to Las Vegas, who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So just you don't need to be scared of anything, because people sometimes see Form 4, see the shares size, and sometimes they dreaming, oh, it's a bullish, or it's a bearish. No,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the company needs extra cash for tax. Let's say yes, and it's simple as that. So there is also sometimes a blank. There is nothing. There is a form, but there is no information like X. So it means they are preparing this paper for any time. Usually, means a bearish sentiment, because they're trying something to hide, right? When it's obvious, it's obvious. You just type buy or sell or whatever. But when they leave the blank, usually the blank papers follows the dilution papers.
Yep.
S1, S3, effectiveness, and these kind of blank papers they follow, and they just fill them after they announce the offering, and that's it. Because once dilution comes in effect, once they have this answer for the Security and Exchange Commission that this comes in effect, it's not necessary for them. It's not a mandatory for them to fill, to tell you that we selling right now. It's not a rule. They can tell you, they cannot tell you. Okay, so they just already told you by saying we are ready.
Yep.
We have the shares, we have in the pocket. All we need is some dummies, jump in FOMO, and we are pressing the button. That's it. Basically, that's what they need, because they can do it on their own. But why use their own capital to raise the price of the stock if they can just release some kind of news? Sometimes we see the fake news, sometimes we see repeated news from the past. So they just trying everything, but it's illegal.
Yep.
And they're trying to hook you, on this kind of stuff. So it's very, very important to read this kind of feelings, one after another, which follows, and it's clearly you can see that the plan is just dilute the stock. Yeah. And they need liquidity for that. Yep. The company needs liquidity for that, Yeah. We can just press the button for 1,000 shares and be good to go. Yep. But if they want to dump 5 million shares in 1 second, they cannot do that without the liquidity. Yeah. And at the very very least, when you look at this information, it gives you an idea of what's coming. Like, you can still make money from these stocks, right? You can jump in, before the effect form comes in, like Paul mentioned. You can still play with it. You just have to be aware that, okay, like, it's coming at some point, right? As the stock is running, exactly. As the stock is running, they're gonna sell. So when you're looking at a stock and you're making money, maybe don't hold it overnight. If there's an S1 filing, an S3 filing, right? Because they're gonna dump it at some point. It might be when you're sleeping at night. Right? So exactly. So I'm gonna show you now how this kind of filling, which I showed you now on this specific stock, works. And now you understand how it's happening in advance of these fillings. Yeah. So now we look at this filling S1. Yeah. A was filled on 1108. Yeah. Okay. 1108. This is the stock. So this is the stock. Let's go at 1108. We are now on 1108. You see this candle? Green candle before these two red ones. We can only see the white the website. Oh, why? Yeah, because I think you're sharing. You might have to open another tab, Paul, on this same screen with the filings, and yeah, we can only see the white, the red and white page.
So maybe come back to this screen and then open another trading view tab.
Wait.
Yeah, I know, right? So while Paul is doing that, Shima has a question. So Shima says, should we be looking out for effect filings? Because that's really how you know that they're about to dump those shares on you. The answer to your question is no, Shima, right? You want to be, as soon as they're ready. And another thing to keep in mind is, you've noticed that these stocks usually dump immediately as soon as that offering, as soon as there's an S1 filing, the stock is crashing to the abyss already, right? It doesn't necessarily mean, so the two different ways to look at this. You either have a stock that's moving up, right, and they're filing that offering and the stock is crashing, or you have a company that's already filed they've already done the S1 S3 and they're just waiting for the stock to rally. And if that's the case, if there's already an S1 and S3, just be aware that as the stock runs, that effect form is coming at some point. So just be ready to sell, have a good stop loss, don't hold overnight, Shima, and stuff like that. Or you're in a position, right, and the stock decides to they decide to file the offering. That's the point where you have to be aware that, okay, this company doesn't have enough cash, right, and or they have a history of dilution, right? So that's research you have to do beforehand, right? So if you're holding a stock, just quickly go over to, again, like I said earlier, go over to Discord, put in the information, see how much cash they have on hand, see what their burn rate is, right? Again, maybe go over to what's that website again, Paul? Dilution tracker.
BAMSEC.com.
Yeah. So go over there.
BAMSEC.com.
Yeah, exactly. So go over there and see what the probability of them doing an offering is. And if it's low, then you might be okay. Just because, again, some companies don't have that S1 filed already, right? So as the stock is running, they're like, oh my goodness, let's run to the bank. Run. Okay, SEC, file it, right? And then the stock plummets. Right, but there was no way of you knowing that beforehand because these filings were not out. That's where you have to do the research beforehand. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, so how to put my another screen on this?
So see at the very top there, Paul, see where you have these three websites on the screen. You have Dilution Tracker and stuff like that. Just open another tab on that same screen and then just open up TradingView.
Another tab? What mean tab?
At the very top. So see at the top we have three different tabs, right? Yeah, perfect. Just open up another one and type in TradingView, and then we should be able to go in that way. Yeah. So you don't have to leave your screen and then come in and then leave again.
Oh, okay. So now I need to.
Are you signed in on this one or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, on the
do you use the app or do you use the website for TradingView?
I'm using the app.
Yeah, I figured that.
That's why.
So you could just share your whole screen instead of sharing a window. Maybe share your whole screen.
Yeah, you can go back to share your screen, Paul, and then share the entire screen instead. So go down to Discord. On the left hand side, click on change window. You can just go back and forth maybe, and it'd be easier.
So. Yeah. Okay. So I have.
Yeah. Peter.
I have just stop streaming, and I have that's it.
Change. It doesn't show you.
See the change?
It doesn't show you the option. Okay, then just stop streaming and then reshare then. And then when you do it this time, instead of doing a window, just do the entire screen like Rob said.
Okay, so now if you I'm sharing like this.
Luna.
And screens.
Yeah. So that website Paul was.
So I see. So I have applications and I have screens or capture device. Probably screens, huh?
Yeah, just do the screen. Then we can just go back and forth, and you should be okay.
Screen 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just gonna come up. Then it's loading. It came up to the skin screen you were sharing before, Paul.
Okay, and now.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. There you go. Perfect. So just do it this way.
Perfect.
Yeah, just do it this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Trevor, we need some elevator music.
Yes. So look, very interesting stuff. So let's say now GCTK stock, right?
Yeah.
So they feel the feeling on 1108. So we go to the daily chart on this stock and 1108. We see this date. See with this green candle.
Yep.
So exactly. So before it comes in effect, once they feel that, they already telling you that we are gonna sell something. We're gonna sell some shares, and we're getting ready. So once you see the feeling, but it still has no effect back here. You still can find this as a bullish sentiment, because every single company wants to rise price as big as possible to sell as high as possible, right?
Yeah.
So you must be careful on that, but also you must have in mind that based on this feeling, initial registration of new securities, they cannot sell anything without an effect. So even if the price spike, you have less fear for instant flush you know? So you have just kind of this feeling that the company not gonna trick you in big sell-off, you know. And when the volume is high and the retailers are selling, you're not gonna see the $1 price drop in 10 seconds, right? It's just must be with the company insiders force to dump the shares. So that's why. And okay, so in effect came 11-12. So effect came after 4 days. So after 4 days at 12, when effect came, they say, okay, we're ready. So look at what happened on 12th.
Yep. Disaster.
Look what happened on 12th day.
Slapped.
Boom. Boom. They say, we told you.
Yep.
We're ready.
Yep.
So after that, they filled this 424B5. 424B5, that's a code of primary director public offering. This is when it tells you we already selling this minute or we already sold it. It's not in the future. You as for example a short seller, you are already late. You late.
Yeah.
It's basically not telling you that it's gonna happen in future. They told you already before with S1 424B4. They already told you that we are ready.
Yep.
Okay, so it's everything led to very, very nice setup. When insider bought some warrants at certain price, they filled the dilution on 1108. They came in effect. So everything came together that it's lead definitely price gonna drop.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's very good language to understand that it's what they're trying to tell you. That's what you're looking for. So for me, I always look at S1 and S3 first. That's my first thing that my eyes goes through. If there is a feeling, second thing, I'm focused on effect. If there is effect, okay, and the stock is rising, because only that way you'll start looking at the company feelings when the stock is rising, right? Like with the dead stocks, you're not gonna investigate anything. You don't know that stock at all.
Exactly.
You just start investigating the stock whenever it spikes. So even the stock spikes with no news, investigate every single stock.
Yep.
Because you might see things that is in your favor in 2 days, maybe, or 3 days. Stock speaks the language. They're trying to tell you something. There is a reason for the spike. Either is down, either is up. There is definitely the reason. Sometimes you can get a scanners which not top gainers. You can get a scanners also with top losers. Mm-hmm. And you see maybe they announced a public offering at certain price, and price is dropping till that exercise price. And at that exercise price, if you see the feeling that insiders start buying on an exercise price, why you not can buy that? Mm-hmm. You can buy that also. So let's say they announce the public offering at 187. You wait until price drops 187 and you look. And then you watch. You can watch level 2, the incoming orders. You can watch another filling, ownership filling, form 4, insider bought it at certain price, and it's a good time for a swing for some players. Mm-hmm. Because stock is already was beaten. They used all the effectiveness of the dump shares. They have nothing else to sell. They raised the capital. They settled. They are on the bottom. It's come new start. That's where you catch them as a long player,
Yep.
This is very, very, very interesting stuff, because sometimes people, stock spike like $1 or $2. There is no news. Nobody is interested. They forget that stock in 2 hours. But me, I look at the feelings and I say, oh, okay. There is a reason why they spike. They start collecting some liquidity. they feel some kind of interesting ownership. They bought some shares. Okay, so they have this kind of, S3 came, shelf registration. They're ready to sell, but they're not going to sell at the bottom. So this is something incoming. And especially on the low float stocks. We know that low float stocks easy to manipulate, and with the 500,000 shares, you can see from $2 till $7 in 5 minutes, right? So you can be ready for that. That's very, very good fact for the. Let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna tell there even more about a little bit inside the agreements about reverse stock splits. Guys, remember, if you see the shelf registration, for example, somebody comes and looks like this is, for example, 350,000 shares. That's basically nothing. But when you see like 500 million shares, like it's just not look like not real, right?
Yep.
But we come to the stock and we look, or it was the reverse stock split, because reverse stock split also dilutes issued shares. They also dilute those shares which already is dumped on dilution papers. They're also diluting them. So if they see on dilution papers they trying to issue 500 million shares, and we see after the reverse stock split like 10 or 20, we divide that number. And then we know exact number, how many they're going to sell. Because sometimes the price is like at $5 after the split. And you think, how are they going to sell 500 million shares? But before split, the price was like 10, maybe 10. And there was a float like, how much? 200 million?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you think like, oh my goodness, this price from $5 is gonna go to zero in second. Like if they sell this whole share. No, guys, you must do the calculation, because the reverse stock split, it's also dilutes everything. Outstanding shares dilutes float, dilutes, and also dilutes the shares issued or on shelf registration as dilution. So it's very, very, very important to know that.
Can I say something there real quick?
Yes.
Sorry, Paul. That's why for those that have come to hot trades, and have gotten stuck in a trade after in a stock after a reverse stock split, sometimes you ask us why, you're still holding and you had it at 10 and now it's at only $2 or 50 cents or whatever. Then that's why it's never going to probably most likely go back there just because of that. So this is a good explanation of why you should just get out of it if you got stuck on the other side of it.
Yes, it's very good to point, Rob. And sometimes people, they hold over the split. They think, they look at stock tweets and they say, oh my God, stock not gonna tomorrow gonna be $10, and they think they're gonna be millionaires overnight. Once because of the shares are also gonna be diluted. Like you have 1,000 shares. And you holding through the reverse split, which is 1 to 10, your share is going to be divided by 10.
Exactly.
Exactly. So it's divided also by everybody, not only for retailers. It's for insiders, shareholders, warrant holders, for everybody. Everybody is equal here.
Yep.
Okay, so they know the price. And just some people don't know. And after they think, they cry and what to do. And it's usually like 75% after the split, price is going to decrease. Okay, there is a lot of low float companies which are raising capital instantly, just the reverse stock split, and you see another one in 2 months. They just need cash now because maybe they own a market boss or something. So when it says now, today, or you're gonna end up in the trunk. Who knows?
Exactly, Paul.
So they say if we need to raise this now. So I'm gonna show you now the stock, which are So it's the same stock, GCTK. So look, reverse stock split came in effect, and what they did, they saw it was on February 4. Yeah, on the split day, what they did, they start selling instantly. They just collected a little bit of liquidity of you, me, and 2 Johns.
Yep.
And they said only one John needs to chicken out, and that's it. They generated liquidity and they sell, we need the cash now, and they dropped. Because sometimes, after the reverse stock split, we see the moves with the Musk, right? We see the moves like from $2 till $6. in 30 minutes, the consolidation and the spike. Usually, that's some long traders hunt those kind of things. They live for the splits. There is some kind of group of traders which their lives only for split, but they know exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
And it's very important to understand, because after split, not always it's a good thing. It's not always a good thing, because company does reverse stock split. It's basically literally means feed the track. Unless the split is on reverse, like Tesla, they dilute in another side. They're too big. They're just too big, and this kind of they're too small.
Yep.
So
and that was Hassan's question. Hassan was asking, like, what's the difference between like what we're talking about, like a reverse split, versus like Nvidia. The two different things, right? So a reverse split basically means you're like, again, it's not good, right? So you're reversing, you're going the opposite way, right? So you're diluting the stock, right? Whereas Nvidia, it's more of a forward split, right?
Well, it's also the reason why an Nvidia would split. One is adding, they're diluting, they're adding more shares, right? They're splitting it into smaller shares, and then Nvidia is so big. Let's say they want to get more people to be able to get in at a cheaper price, right? So they split it, so they divide instead of.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now let's take another example, very good one. GTAI recent spike was a nice stock. And GTAI also, let's see the chart of GTAI. That was nice, right? Nice moves. So let's investigate a little bit the stock. Let's say GTI. So let's see to the history how the dilution affects this kind of stock. So let's say they fill the dilution shelf registration. We put on press on shelf registration. This is just kind of 350,000 shares, but it means it can be like 3 million or whatever, And they did the correction after that.
Yeah, I mean.
No, they're saying not 300, 600.
They're like, we need more money. We need more money.
Yeah, we need more money. And people maybe miss this kind of feeling, and they think, 300 shares, it's nothing. It's basically they can sell in strength up and nothing. But if you miss this feeling can be not 600 shares. It can be 6 million after that. The correction, like, they missed 2 zeros. And then you think, okay. So after that, 12.10, they finally amended this feeling and came in effect 12.27. So it took time.
Yep.
So let's see between this range what happened with the stock. So let's see 12.10.
12.10, yeah.
December 10.
Yeah.
Look at this red candle. Why it spiked up? Because people know that they cannot sell. This is spiked back probably by short pressure, because short know also that there probably was no news on that, and they give an pressure of at the resistance somewhere and just drop. But this is participating not only us, but participating also algos in some kind of event. If the company just earnings or whatever, they can participate also, or investors like hedge funds, let's capitalize from this kind of bullish sentiment, because they cannot get pressure against from the selling side, because they know they cannot sell yet. So let's see. So they feel that 12.10 effectiveness come 12.27. So 12.27. Look at 12.27. The day. From this day, the stock came where? All the way from 580 all the way down. So they start selling over there. At this day, where is the 12.27? Right here. So from this red candle, they start selling.
Mm-hmm.
They just said we will do this, and we start selling. So before that, before you look at this kind of all things, you need to understand why our company, how much cash it has, you
Yep,
know,
exactly.
or they need to raise capital, or they need. So I'm for my best track is for free, guys. You're going at dilutiontracker.com. It's for free. It's a lot of things you need to pay premium, but what you really need to see, it's literally for free. They show historical outstanding shares and potential dilution. So look at this last quarter. They issuing the shares. They issuing the shares. And why? Because look how was happening in that quarter. They was operating on minus 4,630,000.
Yep.
They was on the bottom on minus. So that's why, you know, if you put all the things together, uh, issuing shares, shelf registration, effectiveness, why? Then you come here and you look, okay, now I see why. If you, for example, don't have time for this, you want to see everything in one page, you go at 10Q filling. It's financial, and mostly look at the quarters and the last quarter. So when you press on a quarter, you go to the stock financials to understand how deep that company is in profit, or they in debt, or what they're doing. So always be looking about current assets, right? So usually they not correct. Mostly they not announce current assets, but we can look at total current assets, for example. So at this moment they have 1,185,000, right? So it's kind of meh. And when you see the liabilities, it's 6,600,000. So basically they're operating in minus, right? They're burning money. They're burning literally money. And if you want to see how much money they're burning per year, you go over down and you see accumulated deficit. And you will see that it's over 49 million they're burning cash per year. So it's a lot. So that's why you can understand
Is this Peter's
this kind of
account?
concept.
I'm kidding.
Huh?
I was asking if this is Peter's account, Paul.
So yes, and for example, if you want to invest in the stock in the long term, let's say you're swinging it, yeah. So you want to make sure that stock not gonna dilute and dilute and dilute over and over and over, right? So you see at authorized shares, common stock, not anything else, but common stock, authorized shares. So it's 200 million they have authorized shares they can issue on the stock histories. That much they can issue new shares, and per value of like, okay, it's zero. And this is leads how many they already issued. So 148,000 and 43,000. So basically they left how much? 199 million over. So this stock gonna repeat this over and over. They have so much authorized shares that they can just do it forever.
Yep.
It can spike and sell and spike and sell, and only this way they survive. Because banks says no. Sorry, no. So what we gonna do? Like how we gonna survive?
Yep.
You know, just by dumping shares into the market. And sometimes you guys, you know, getting into this stuff where it's really hot and they just dumping, don't care about your size or nothing. And for most people, it's a scam. For me, it's a gold mine. For me, I understand the sentiment and I say, okay, you want to play at the downside? Okay, I'm going to go at downside. And that's how I profited at this kind of stuff. But when you catch the stock, it's just in the beginning. It's very, 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 very often think that it's gonna rise.
Yeah.
Before it's done, it's gonna rise.
Which
so
yeah, which is so Paul just answered your question too. You know, like your question, you know, why the spike, you know, before the sell off, right? Is because of stuff like that. And then also Shima is asking, you know, is a recent reverse plate now bottom bounce? Let me go back up, Shima. I think your question was so a company, a reverse split happens, stock dilutes, But explain why then stock goes up a lot if people know it's a recent reverse split. A few reasons, Shima, right?
Oh, very good question, Shima.
Yeah,
Very good question.
exactly.
I can take this. I can
Yes,
take this,
absolutely,
if you
Paul.
don't
Yes,
mind.
please.
So let's say when the stock does a reverse stock split, it decreases the float.
Yep.
When the float is, for example, of the company of the shares, outstanding shares float, I will show you where always track the float and fundamentals. I'm going on finviz.com, is also for free. Let's put the ticker GTAIA in the search bar. And you go over here, you see the float, outstanding shares, you see the short float percentage. The bigger it is, the more chance it's going to get squeezed. You see this one, when they say short, or it's possible short, you say, no, it's a lie. Don't fall for this because it's just a lie. It's definitely, I can short it anyway. Okay? It doesn't mean they say, no, you cannot short the stock. Yes, I can. You see market capitalization here. It's very important to know. And as Blaze mentioned, it's better just look at Discord with the F, and it's be faster for you guys. It's way faster. You don't need to 10 windows.
Yeah.
So it's the main thing, the main answer, Shima, that they are decreasing the float.
Yep.
The lower the float is, the easier manipulate the price. The less liquidity need for bigger move.
Yep.
So it's very easy to manipulate this kind of stuff, and people knows it, and long position knows it. So when you see the news came out like on micro float, which is micro float considered as less than 1 million float outstanding shares, right? So the price can jump so high that you can even never imagine that it can done by that. But also it can reverse at the same speed. It has same risk, same exactly risk as it goes up. As it same goes up, it's same speed it can goes down.
Yep.
And most people FOMO into the breakouts and these kind of things, fast. Believe me, you are no faster, because algos are there much faster than you. The algos operating 10 times faster than a human being click the mouse button.
Yep.
So everything what's left is we are taking all the crap, what is left. Algos and banks and financial institutions and credit unions and hedge funds, they are taking the first. So we must be very, very careful. Either we trade together with them, with the sentiment of the market, how they dictates you and where it goes, either we just gamble.
Yep. And so to add to Paul just mentioned sentiment. So when you see a reverse split, three things need to come to mind, right? Number one is sentiment, right? So when a company is splitting, it's usually not a good thing. A reverse split, that is. Most likely because they don't have a good way to get back above $1, right? That's the easiest way to get above $1. Right. The second thing you need to think about is what retail is looking at, which retail is looking at, what Paul just mentioned is that decreased float. Right now the float is smaller, and they're looking at this and saying, dang, this is a micro float. We could really we could make some good monies on this. Right. And then the side of the company most likely at some point wants to pump this stock so then they can sell the shares. Right? So those are the three things that need to come in mind when you see a reverse split. The way that you benefit from this for the most part is waiting for that momentum to kick in. So, we don't want you guys going out there and saying, oh, this stock just did a split, right? Now it has a low float. Let me go jump in. What usually happens when a company does a split is they do the split, it goes from 10 cents to $5, $6, $3, whatever, right? And then the stock starts to sell off, right? It's slowly selling off because of the sentiment, right? It has negative sentiment around it now. It has negative sentiment leading into the split and after the split. So usually what happens is you see the stock start to sell off, and then exactly, right? Look at that. It starts to sell, and then at some point it finds a base, right? And then when it finds that base, now the company is saying, or the market makers are saying, maybe this is the spot
We
where
do
we can.
another one.
Exactly,
Do another
right?
one.
Now this
Yes.
exactly. This is the spot where, they're looking to start pushing it back up, or retail is looking at this and saying, this thing has some support here, maybe we can push it up, right? So the only time you get into a split play is when it does the split, it sells off and it's consolidating, and you get in and you have a really good stop loss, because again, these companies are garbage, right? Or you wait for the momentum to kick in, and when that thing is moving, it's going to move quick because it has a really low float, right? So again, wait for the sell off, wait for consolidation, or wait for momentum to kick in. And then at some point, if they don't have cash, right, or if they have an open S1, the offering is coming, right? They want to take advantage.
Yes, exactly, Blaze. So by this, if you wanna play splits, it's very profitable thing. Play only splits. But if you wanna play splits, you must know, as Blaze mentioned, the sentiment of the market at the current time. Because let's say when you see sometimes stocks only biotech, all week, all I see is biotech. Most of them has no news, but they spike by during the sentiment of the market, and they, if especially if they're low floaters. So low floaters wait this moment if they have already fillings in a place, but they don't have cash for like these spikes. They're waiting for market sentiment. Let's say this week the economics says like technology attracts very much investors and technology grows up and technology weak. Sometimes the stock waits, if she's a technology stock, for the sentiment, and they use it as an opportunity
Yep.
to spike the stock. So it's just better wait for the news. Okay, so better wait for the news. Track the stocks. I can, guys, show you where to the stock splits. It's tipranks.com. I'm tracking the splits, and it's for free.
Yep, there you go.
You can see upcoming, you can see historical, and you can see how much, and you can see the ticker. And you press on the ticker, you look at the chart, you look at the security fillings, what they did, what they are planned to do after the split, or they gonna need to raise money after that, or they in deep ass, as the company which needs to do a split, and basically they tells you everything,
Yeah.
and that's where you can track the splits. What I do the upcomings. I do not upcomings. I see, okay, February 18th. Look at the Mullen. Oh la la, Mullen gonna get split 1 of 60 when on 18.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
That's
Guess
so
what's gonna
sad.
happen?
That's so
Guess
sad,
what's gonna happen?
That's so
Once
sad.
Mullen gonna do 160, I'm gonna be the first one. Or in the race. I'm gonna be the first one in the race.
Wow.
Because that's very important. You see, Blaze, that when you know the stock, when you know, you see, sometimes I look at the stock, comes with the news, and I look at the chart, and I think to myself, somewhere I see this pattern. Somewhere I recognize the stock and I recognize the pattern. So you can see by the Müller, by the history, by the dumping it, by the negativity, by the everything, So yes, guys. So you can see. Okay, then let's do the historical example. Okay, let's take EPAS. No, EPAS. No, HIFM. So you take HIFM. Go to the securitybamsec.com. HIFM. Let's investigate what they're gonna do. So here we go. Shelf registration S3 on November. Oh, it's very old. Look at the date. So it's 2022. Pay attention, guys, that shelf registrations and dilutions have only basically till 5 years expiration. It's the maximum. 5 years is the maximum. Okay. So sometimes if you don't see that they are already sold something, probably it's expired. So shelf registration is old, very old. So basically, probably they're not in effect anymore. Okay. So, and it was before the split. So you see, 100 million, it's a lot. They have a lot of to sell the shares, and they don't have new one. They don't have new shelf registration, which means they're less likely gonna sell it after the split, right? After the split, it's most likely it's not gonna be like dump, because they don't have nothing to sell it. Okay, so that's what we're waiting for. That's what we're looking for now. Okay, so let's see the ownership. Recent schedule doesn't matter not. So let's see form. So here we go. The code A. The code A means a grant, award, or options. It's basically it gives you away. That's why there is no here price. Price is zero. So it's given like as an award or grant, like that. Usually, this one leads to the bearish sentiment. They giving each other the shares that they can separately dump it. So the code A is very important. Okay, so it means award or grant, and usually leads to the bearish sentiment because there is no price. And the bigger the share is, so look at this. So now, after the split, before the split, actually, on this, they already giving each other the shares to dump. So now what's going to happen? So now we are waiting for either a new S1 or S3 dilution filling or the news. So if news come first, it means the stock can cook. If news come first without a dilution and without an effectiveness of anything, it means the stock can cook.
Yep.
Okay? So this is very important for you to see this in advance. You know, okay, so now let's see, okay, so they cook or not? So now we go to the dilution tracking and put this ticker here. What was the ticker? HIFM. HIFM. And we'll see the history of outstanding shares issuance. Look, from 2021, all they do is issuing the shares, and all they do is burning damn money.
Yep.
You know, and look at this current is every 3 months. So at 2024 December month, they was operating at minus 1.53 million cash. Okay, and now somehow they raised the capital, 22 million. Now they have a capital. Now they are not in a minus, and now they don't have any dilution fill, and they're gonna have a reverse stock split. So if this stock gonna get news after split, what can happen? Can be rocket, right?
Yep.
So this is very important to know because you know it's obvious. It's not lie. They're not lying to you. They're not gonna, you know, as people say, it's a scam because you don't know what's gonna happen. Why sometimes stock pumps and pumps and pumps? You know, why stock pumps and dumps? That's why.
Yep.
So when they raise the capital, it's a good thing. Okay, so they have no recent dilution fill. That's a good thing. They just doing now a stock split. So what should they do now? Now I'm going to the trading view and adding this stock into my list. And every evening I sitting, market is closed. I go through again this my list of prepared stocks and look for new fillings, new dates, what they trying to tell you. Maybe they have some kind of insider transaction again, they bought it, or maybe they have some kind of agreement new, you know, or whatever reason it is.
Yep.
And you can prepare for this. If you see, now I bet it. I can bet it after split. You're gonna see soon. First comes in effect new shelf registration over here or S1 filling. Then maybe in 2 weeks come in effect. And between those that date, we can see there's some kind of on the news, some kind of news, and we can see like a pump. That's it. Small pump, like 50%, 60%, or 100, depends on the sentiment. Before they sell.
Yep.
Very, very important, guys, to know to track everything, not only one thing.
Yeah.
Because I know this sometimes you can trick yourself. You know, I understand that you need to react fast. You probably missing the move, Probably remember, pre-market mostly comes news, right? Don't need to jump in. Leave it this to the grip, okay? Leave it to the professionals. Yeah, leave it to the professionals with the hotkeys, and they can be faster than much times. It needs experience. It's a lot of experience, understanding, and sometimes I see the stock in the scanner. I probably in the 2 seconds know that it's gonna be spike or it's gonna be instantly done.
Yeah.
Because of the time I spend on this kind of thing, and trying to recognize the stock every day and every day and every day and every day, and you see the patterns and you see the everything. So all you need is just to understand why.
Yep.
All you need just to understand why this stock is pumping. Because if you don't understand why, tell me which one of you, when you see the news popping, reading all news? Probably zero. You just see the news main words, FDA approval, partnership, this, but you don't know the details. You don't know the details. You don't know the agreements. Maybe this news is just for reason to dump it.
Yep.
Sometimes don't you recognize that? Oh my goodness! As the stock, wait, very good example. The stock recent news we have with Nvidia. Which one? IFF.
I think so.
IFF.
Yeah.
With Nvidia. Yeah. I see the Nvidia icon. Yeah, Firefly. Yeah, Firefly. So we'll look at the chart of Firefly at that day. It was 12 probably. Yeah. So they got the news. Why they dumped it instantly? Look at the spike, 5 minutes. It's the Nvidia news. Usually people they can go on this stock blind, right? Some people they just like see with Tesla news, Nvidia news, or something in the news. It's really positive, right? So why in the hell the stock starts selling in the 5 minutes? It's Nvidia, and I'm looking, and I'm jumping here, and I'm expecting the $10 price, and I see, oh my goodness, it's Nvidia, but it's dumping over here. Why? Because they found in the filings that they have filled pre-funded warrants. They had pre-funded warrants, which it was mentioned before, guys. Pre-funded warrants, they can be exercised immediately, instantly, same second. They don't need any agreement. So they have over 4 or 5 million pre-funded warrants, and they just sold instantly in the strength because they know the stock gonna recover at open. Because at open it's gonna attract a lot of people because of the sentiment of the news. So they didn't care about this 5 million because they knew stock gonna be recovered. And I told in the Discord, this will run, this can run, and that's what they did. They sell off the pre-funded warrants. They give the pressure. They created a huge amount of liquidity and volume at this pressure, and the stock just rocketed. Look, that's what happened in open. But they did a smart move. They just exercised the pre-funded warrant instantly. You know how much people get caught here? A lot. Because one thing you see, this good news, but you don't know what's happening. So when I see the feelings, I know what's happening. That's this, what I benefited from here, from 450 all the way till 350. I benefited from the stock as a short seller because I know what they're doing. I just saw a pressure of selling. I jumped into the feelings. I saw the pre-funded warrants, and I immediately understand why. So I jumped in, I took my profits, and I let it go. And I saw the volume was insane. Look at the 400,000, 1 million in one candle. I mean, that was the selling pressure, 1.1 million. So I knew the stock gonna recover because in the spike and instantly decrease, you don't have this volume. Believe me.
Yep.
You don't have it. It's just sometimes it's 20K shares in one candle. So then you know that it's fading and it's not gonna be grab. But when you see this volume, people are fighting because they believe in the stock. They're fighting and they don't understand what's happening. They don't understand why is this dumping Nvidia?
They're calling it a scam. Paul. They're like, it's a scam. It's a scam.
Yes. Look at the stock tweets at the time.
Yeah.
They gonna spam with the alarm signs, scam, 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 scam. You know,
Um,
but they just like say, okay, we're gonna use opportunity now before we don't know, or maybe small cap like under the dollar stock gets news and steals all the volume from them. They don't know that.
Yep.
They can't tell from another company. Maybe another company released the news at same time and it's a more attractive price than this one. So more volume are gonna jump at lower price because it's more attractive, right?
Yeah,
So it's gonna
exactly.
steal the volume from them. So they
Exactly.
say, no, what the hell? We're gonna sell now. We're gonna
Yeah.
use opportunity now. Let's sell some like we do. We buy shares and we take some profits along the way. So they say, let's take some profits right now before we're gonna pump the stock at the open. So that's what they did. Exactly what they did. That was so beautiful. That was like from the song, you know, like from the song. I made $15,000 on the stock at that day.
Yeah.
It
I
was
like it.
crazy. I mean, I could go all the way, like, I mean, but you know, you never know what they're gonna try sell and what they're gonna do. And what happened later? Look, AFF. Let's see the feelings. Let's investigate. After the news, the field. Here we go. Initial registration of new securities after the news on February 7th came in effect on February 13th. S1 effect. Look what happened. February 13th. You see the date? February 13th.
Yep.
Came in effect.
Yep. And
boom.
Exactly. And like Paul mentioned
Boom.
again, you know, stuff like that should remind you that that information, like Paul mentioned earlier, that information is right there. You know it's coming, right? It's not selling off now because it's not in effect, but it's coming. It's already been announced on the 7th, right? The S1 was announced already, and then on the 13th they did the offering. So you know it's coming at some point.
Exactly. And you know what's the problem? You don't see the offering here because they don't have to.
Yep,
if they don't want to.
Yep.
They don't have to. There is no rule to tell you, guys, we are selling right now.
Yeah.
Auction. You know, like what the hell? No.
Yep.
So they do this once in a while to increase the increase the
money.
Show the monies, but they show the feelings sometimes that they wanted to gain trust for the investors, that they telling you sometimes, you know, they're not scamming you all the time. Like, you know, like they're telling you sometimes. But this, when comes in effect, either S1 or S3, guys, when this comes in effect, it's just be careful, okay? Because you can benefit also, of course, it's stock and pump, of course. But don't overstay your welcome, please. Don't overstay it. Because I know by myself, I know by all traders, I know a lot of traders which are, you know, expecting a home run. They coming back from break even, then they expecting again, they coming back low, and then they just wish to end up they break even and they losing because they don't understand what's happening. They think that the Nvidia news maybe goes forever. No, they have what to sell. You know, don't hold this kind of stocks which are in effect, because if you swing this one stock which has an effect,
yeah,
oh my goodness, you can wake up in the morning on the bottom.
Yeah, and so Luna was asking, so looking at blah 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 la la la, waiting for the news. Once you see the news and sell like a bandit, potentially, yeah. But I think the question that I wanted to answer was it Shima asking that question? No, that was Luna. Somewhere in here, Luna. What I don't get is they jump into 16 and then why can it? So you're wondering why, like, you read a news like Nvidia and then it pumps and then it sells off, or why the news seems like it's fake but it's you know, and it's going up because it's sentiment, right? So what you have to understand is with retail and with momentum stocks, the most important thing is sentiment. And if anything is connected to Nvidia, it's gonna rally. Whether the news has long-term, you know, benefits or it's a short-term thing, it's gonna move, right? So that's the most important thing that you have to remember, is that retail sentiment, momentum stocks, retail sentiment. Hopefully
Yes,
that.
let's not forget, guys, that we are not trading alone here. Okay, we are just so small in this kind of stuff that you have no idea. And this in this kind of technology of the times, algos, for example, reacting in the news by keywords. What keywords news gonna announce? Like FDA approval, partnership, announcement, Nvidia, Tesla, algos has this keyword, specific keyword to spike the stock. Why sometimes you see algos bought the stock till one from $4 to till two, but actually you read the news deeper and it's negative sentiment and it's immediately sell off because it's just sentiment of the market reaction in the seconds. They react in the specific keywords in the news.
Yep, Nvidia is probably
If
one
they
of them,
would,
Paul.
oh, definitely,
Yep.
definitely, and these giants, anything what related with the giant stocks like Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, you
Yep.
see the low float partnership
Exactly.
or whatever.
Exactly.
You better prepare your trading platform right now,
Exactly.
because but you must be careful. You see what happened. Did you saw that what happened? You could be burned, and then I lost all my money, and I see in 2 hours this stock I could have 10,000. Oh my goodness.
And
That's why I suggest people, don't jump if you have no clue what you're doing. Just don't jump. If the stock is strong, believe me, just believe me 100%, it's going to show you another wave. Believe me, you're not going to miss it, nothing, if you're just not going to FOMO in this first candle.
yep,
Said a
exactly.
little bit, read the feelings, read what they're trying to do, read everything, or they are negative, or they are on good side, or they have an agreement, or the news is plus, and then you prepare for a dip, just simply a dip. It's not gonna go forever. The stock is gonna definitely
Give
show
you
you a
that.
sell-off at some
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Profit taking people, who takes the profits, either retailer, either hedge funds, either banks. They're gonna take a profits, and you're gonna buy in a dip.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
it. That's all you need to do. Just measure your resistance support in the pre-market to show the sentiment, like where it can bounce. Watch your level at certain time, and take from there. Don't rush, because I burned so much times that you have no clue. I was screaming and punching myself. It's a scam. It's
Yep.
literally not
No.
possible. Nothing here is possible.
Exactly. And it's,
Believe me. If
yeah.
you
And all of that is just a lack of understanding, right? So, just yeah.
exactly, you just don't know what you jumping into.
Yeah. So just to recap, guys, let Paul know if you have any. I don't know if Paul has anything else to cover, but let Paul know if you
Yes,
have any
yes.
last questions. Alrighty, and then again, just to recap some of the links, some of the websites, right? So again, you have the initial website that Paul shared. You can look at those SEC filings on there, or you can just go to the SEC main website, right? So BAM, .SEC, right? You can use
BAMSEC,
that. You can
yes,
use
BAMSEC.
Dilution Tracker, right? So Dilution Track and
Yes.
use the free version if you need to see if they're burning cash, right? Or
Yes.
yeah, you can see if they're burning cash, or if you want to pay for it, right? And then you can see, okay,
Yeah, but you don't
probability
need
of
to. Actually,
offerings.
literally, you don't need to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Probability of offerings, high, low. They have some really cool tools, right? You can use the historical stock splits calendar, right? The last tab that he has at the top, right? You can see upcoming splits, right? Or historical splits, and that gives you an idea of what to look for if there's a split theme in the market, right? You can also look in Discord, right? You can look in Discords, and you can look at that cheat sheet that we shared, right? What's a 10K? What's a Form 4? What does this mean, right? There's a whole list of documents or like what they mean, right? Paul also shared the P and the A and the D. They mean different things. That information is also in Discord that you can look at. It's really important that when you're playing with the momentum stock, right? Again, most of them are garbage. Just quickly look. Like the first thing you should be looking at is see if they have an open S1 and S3 and stuff like that. Also look to see if they have cash on hand, right? If a company has $280,000 and they're burning millions every 3 months, guess what? They're gonna want to take advantage of that. So before you think of like holding a name overnight, maybe ask yourself like, okay, do they even have cash or do they have an open S1? What's the probability of them doing an offering? Is it high, is it low, right? Stuff like that you should make sure you understand. And it's the more you do it, just like anything else, the easier it gets. It's gonna take you 2 seconds, right? The more familiar you are with looking at that information, the more you're gonna know. Also, sometimes you just pull up a stock and you can see that, oh wow, in the last 6 months they've done like 3 offerings. Guess what? They're gonna do number 4, right? So stuff like that. Again, it's easier. It becomes easier the more you do it.
Yes, exactly, Blaze. Thank you. And look, now I just had one stock in place that it could potentially show positive side and how to look at this. So ticker is CELU, TEL, okay? So the current price is $2.14, okay? So let's see the fillings and and let's try to find out what they're trying to do and why price is on the bottom. So if I go on the fillings of CELU, there is a material definitive agreement. What it means, they have some kind of agreement, yes? So if you look at this agreement, there is here. There is agreement to exercise the warrants, to sell a warrants at $2.07. Okay? At $2.07, now they are offering you exercise your warrants. Okay? So if you, and this filling came at January 27. So from January 27, this price need to reach 207. Okay? So exercise price. So from January 27 of the filling of the offer, right? Like they say, there's an agreement. Okay, yep. So let's agree that on this day, January 27, be offering you exercise the buy warrants at 207. What's gonna happen? The warrant holders say, okay, of course, we're gonna buy. Let's decrease the price. So from that day, they say, oh, okay, let's go down, let's go to $2.07. Okay, there is your chance now to exercise the warrants. Buy them. It's literally saying you 5 days before, buy them. Look what happened on February 5. They try and exercise the warrants. They increase the liquidity and they jump the price. There is no news on that. After the last agreement, there is no news. Why it's spiking? Because the 2.7 was an exercise price, and investors bought it on here. That's why price is increased. Okay, so now they are loaded. Okay, so now they're loaded. Before shelf 3 registration, they cannot dump it. That's probably a short pressure. Okay, so now if you see, they filled 13 3 days back. They filled the registration of dilution, and they have no effect. They have no effect, and they didn't sell the warrants. So now, what price it is? 214. So most likely now, until they cannot sell anything right now, they are on spot. They are on this spot where they say, okay, let's give us some more price and let's get an effect of this specific 2013. So at this point, it's kind of bullish sentiment. It's kind of like they're saying, okay, let's do something to pump it. So now what I'm waiting for this specific stock is news without an effect. If news comes first without an effect of this kind of this specific feeling of this date, it means it can pump. It means it can run. Okay? So that's my list. That's how I prepare for a long situation. I'm not swinging it and I'm not jumping it anywhere. I'm just waiting for a good time. If this stock gonna release the news, I have this in my watch list. I know what to expect, and I know what is the resistance. I know that they're gonna start issuing something, selling their warrants probably at this price. So it's a good thing to understand, and it's a good thing to know that at what price warrant holders, insiders have holding the stock. So if you're holding the stock, you definitely don't want to go below to 207, right? You definitely don't want to go below. So they're just trying, shake some kind of swingers or bag holders or whatever, at decreasing like till 180, let's say, and everybody chicken out. Price is not going to go up.
Yep,
But
exactly.
look what happened. They saying like, okay, now we shake those kind of bag holders, and now we can try to do something for us. Okay, so I don't know.
I like it.
I'm not an advisor, right? But
No,
that's your plan.
none of this is financial
That's your
advice.
Yes, that's not financial advice for sure.
Yes.
Just add to your watch list and look what happened.
Exactly.
You don't need to buy now. You don't need to jump anywhere. If you know and prepare for this specific stock, and look at, I mark this as a blue. As what is blue? Biotech.
Yep.
It's a biotech.
There you go.
So, and the float is 10 million. It's low.
Yep.
It's very, very, very low. Perfect. So this one, and wait a second.
Well.
And
no, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Yes, and the stock, another example, last one. Example, CERRO. This is the biotech stock. Recent did a reverse stock split, and the float is 1 million, right? So let's see the feelings now of this stock. Basically, they have the shelf registration in place, and they have effectiveness, right? So now I'm careful. Now I'm looking, because it's after split and it's low float and it's biotech. Most people have eyes on it.
Yep.
Definitely have eyes on it. So now I'm looking, okay, so what they're offering, what they can dump. So they can sell 4 million common stock, 4 million, here we go, pre-funded warrants. Pre-funded warrants going to be sold instantly in the reaction.
The run, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on liquidity. Of course, they cannot dump 4 million instantly, but they're going to start releasing in parts, right? Yep. So that's why on this kind of news, on this specific stock, you cannot jump in the first candle.
Yep.
It's I mean, maybe you're going to catch 5-10 cents with 10,000 shares of the position, maybe, like could be, but it's skills. It needs skills for that, for sure. And you see the amount that another 8 million pre-funded warrants. So 12 million combined, they can sell without any warning, anytime, whatever. So let's go for the tracker. Let's see what kind of they have with the cash. Look at this. They raising money like crazy. Recently, they was operating on minus, and now they're starting raising the money. It's 8 million. It's not that much. So they definitely going to raise more. So if this stock right now, what kind of? Yeah, right now she's at $2, and I mean, in my opinion, start selling right now at $2. Most likely not, because they already have this in effect at like for more than a week. They could do that already, right? At $2, they could do that, decrease the stock already, right? So pay attention to this one. Pay attention to this one. This one can show the muscles, but this one also can show the price down.
I like it, Paul.
Because why am I adding this one to my? Because it's on the bottom. If there would be $5, I would not even consider it. I know that there would be instantly selling pressure. Instantly, just to give them a liquidity at $5, you will see what happens. And if they have prepared for a big amount of dilution at $5, it's gonna hurt. But at $2 and at the bottom, look at the chart. It's the bottom. You see the support over here, and they say we ready, maybe 3, maybe somewhere here, maybe 250 something, maybe 380. Let's hope 5. Who knows? Let's see. But I believe that
They're just ready.
it's just ready. Yeah. Ready for everything. You know how this kind of I am compared to the race, right? You know, when you sit with the race and say get ready, go, right?
Go.
So for me, the get is S1 and S3. The ready is effect, and the go is like when you see 424 B3 or 424 B4. It's they kind of letting you again prepare that we are ready to go. We're ready.
Yeah.
You know, so
get to selling.
And if we are on the bottom, so I believe this is gonna spike fast and drop down fast. This is gonna be pump and dilute cycle, like classic after stock split news. You know.
Thank you very much, Paul.
And mention very important to notice that, guys. Mark your stocks with the specific healthcare stocks, biotech stocks. Those crooks, believe me, they can hurt you. They can hurt you very, very much because all they do is dilute cycles. And they know that people react in biotech stocks, micro floats, like a gold mine, because everybody oh my goodness, low float stock, some news, FDA, and we riding. Yep. Sometimes we not. How many times we saw the perfect news, amazing news. Second candle of 5 minutes is just going down and praying, come on, break even. Come on, please break even. Yeah, I mean, you remember, Blaze, when I don't remember the stock, but when I was crying and you say, don't use the margin account. Why you use the margin account? I blew up. I bought on the spike up on the FOMO, and stock went all the way down until my broker sold my position because it was to 0. My account was 0. I was praying, what the hell? FDA approval. Everything is nice. Like, why is this dumping? Why is this dump? And then in the open market, Blaze said, now you feel if you have a cash account, you will be in a profit because stock came back like a rocket.
Yep.
You know, so don't rush it. Don't rush it. Take a time. For me, you know how much time it takes to measure everything? 2-3 minutes maximum. If you can understand all these feelings, 2-3 minutes, you already understand sentiment of the stock, what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
So the more you look, the more you practice, the more you recognize this, the more you track, the more you play with it. Now, go to the best example to play with them. Upcoming and the historical stock, please, guys, go to the historical ones, add to the list, and play with them. Play every single ticker, add here in the BAMSEC, add to the dilution, play with them, look at the history dilutions, go to those dates, see how they reacted, see how it's so fun. Believe me, it's so fun. Once you understand this kind of thing, it takes you to another level. It's like I'm so into this kind of stuff. You know, when I started, I think, oh my goodness, to read all this crap, I have no clue. I have no clue. What is this? I have no time for this. When I read this, my stock already somewhere at the bottom.
Yep, exactly. Well, so again, like this website is good because it breaks it down for you, you know, like it puts everything together. But yeah, you can also do the same thing on the SEC website, SEC. So, which is really good. Paul, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Another thing, really quick, Blaze. This BAMSEC page, why it's this? You see this blank?
Yeah.
Blank. It's need a subscription.
Okay.
But once you understand these codes, letters, X1A. What is this?
Yep.
Dilution.
Yep.
Dilution. You press yes, it's dilution. You don't need a subscription.
Yep.
Because you understand codes. You know codes. It's not another word. It's the same word.
Straight to jail.
Do you see the codes?
Yep.
S1. Guess what? Issuing new securities. Boom. Here we go.
Yep.
Guess what? Here, go down. I don't see nothing, but I see effect. Boom. That's one effect. You don't need a subscription if you know code.
Yep.
Everywhere is gonna be the same. Yeah, it's criminal, yeah. But if you understand, you don't need a subscription for that. Okay, guys, don't subscribe for no reason. And Dilution Tracker same. Dilution Trackers subscriptions needed just for professional short sellers track in advance dilution filling. Okay, that they can understand the upcoming dilution, that they can short it. Okay, so that's why subscribing. For a long buyer, all you need free this you see, or the company burning the cash, or they issuing more outstanding shares. The bigger this candle is, and the lower this one in the red, it means they need money now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna smash you without warning
Mm-hmm.
at the first spike. Okay, so it's all these things together put in like dilution, effect, ownership. Either is news or no. You go money, look, that's it. You understand everything.
Yep. This information.
If very important, if there is no dilution, guys, there is no dilution. Wow, then 4 times this week, 4 times I mentioned, don't remember now the tickets. 4 times I mentioned this can run, and it's run. So I was so happy to see that I was right. I was just trading in my mind, not executing the shares in my mind, or I was right by the papers. 4 times out of 4, I was right, only by the papers. Because the stock starts spiking, the stock try creating liquidity, and I see the papers, they have no dilution. They have the healthy cash flow. They have not bad recent news, everything. This stock can run.
Yep.
Here you go, and open is the stock flies.
Amazing.
And you know why. So it's very important to see those kind of things,
Mm-hmm. Love it. Thank you very much, Paul. Really, really, really good information. Really, really good. Right. A lot of people just trade blindly without understanding what's happening, and like you said, you get into a stock and then they do an offering and you're like, oh my goodness, this company is such a scam. No, the information was out there.
Yes, and you don't even see the offering.
Exactly.
If you don't know this kind of page and what you look, sometimes you don't even see, because how many times you see here on the trading view on this, where is the news, that Discord bot shows the news, some broker software shows the news, but trading view doesn't show
Yep.
the news. You know, so people think, oh my God, there is no news. When literally there is all filings staying, your agreements, ownership transaction, effect of this or some new filling. Here, everything is here, guys. This is the reason why stock do something. This is the reason. This is the
Love it.
Tell you.
Love it. So Shima had a question. Shima says how to play upcoming merger plays like MGOL. This past week, GLYC upcoming. So your question basically is
mergers.
Yeah, like so your question, which so Shima, mergers, right? So the way that you play with merger plays, the way you play with mergers is go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so mergers and acquisitions is basically filled in 8K fillings. On the where is the new section? On it, it's only 8K filling. Okay, it says usually wait, how it says a business combination. Like, okay, let's go MGOL. You see, 8K filling, shareholders approve business combination. So business combination is a merger or acquisition. Okay. So what you need to look for positive, for long bias or short bias sentiment, in that kind of agreement, merger agreement, you must to look for strong board approval, cash deals, or shareholder support, or in general regulatory clarity. If the board, like they was announcing that they need a vote for that. So if the board approves it, it's a good thing. Okay, they need to see, or the cash deals is positive in the agreement. If you want to see the bullish sentiment, if you want to see a negative, a short bias sentiment of this agreement, you inside must to look a focus on regulatory hurdles. dilution risk or shareholder oppositions or financial struggles. If you see a financial struggle, like positive keywords inside the filing should be no language like subject to regulatory approval or potential antitrust concerns, indicates a smoother process. The board of directors like of XXX company has anonymously approved and strongly encourages all stockholders to vote for it. So that's it's positive things, you know.
Yep.
Some for registration statements, fill the public company issues shares to fund a merger or acquisition. Sometimes they issue some little bit shares for just to fund it. So if cash flow is positive on this one, you know, that's why you need to look for the agreement inside it. Positive things, like for shareholder stock positive, they approve the cash flow, they approve the this kind. Then you know that sentiment is bullish on this. But if
Exactly.
you see that their struggle, they sometimes you see how to say negative words like hurdles with the cash, or they gonna try to raise the cash from somewhere else. It means they cannot get it now. It's kind of a little bit negative of sentiment. Okay,
Yep.
so that's what you need to look for inside the approval. Okay,
Perfect.
to not always is good thing. Merger is not always good thing. If they struggle with the cash, you can see the decline for the both companies at the
Perfect.
same time.
Alrighty. Paul, can you take your chart over to go back to your chart and then go to the daily chart for MGOL. Then let's go back to yeah, so MGOL and then like make the candles. So look at the bottom there when we were at 12 cents, right? So so again, that the news about the merger started coming in around 12 cents, right? We started talking about this around 12 cents. So from 12 cents all the way to a dollar, like a dollar whatever it ran to, right? Which is really impressive. So then your question, Shima, is how do you play a name like this, right? That has, potential news of a merger, blah, 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 blah. Again, so two things you need to think about, Shima, is again, sentiment and momentum, right? You can maybe add the technicals in there if you need to. So let's say again, like the news came out, right? So this company has a merger coming up, right? Now your job is to look at this and say, is the chart at a good level? Right, that's the first question. Like, is the chart at a good level, and what is it actually doing? Right, if someone's saying, oh yeah, like they have a merger coming up and the stock is crashing, don't play with the stock, right? Don't touch it. You look at this and you see that it's finding a nice base like we did at 12 cents, 13 cents, 14 cents, right? If it's finding a base and you can see that people are buying this, then okay, you're almost green lights, right? Because again, the sentiment is good that there's a potential merger coming in, right? So that's the first thing you have to pay attention to, right? Again, are people buying into this position with the news coming, right? And then again, you just have to play the price action. So don't rely too much on the news, because when the news actually does hit, then you're gonna have that buy the hype, sell the news type of thing, right? So we run into the event and then we sell off after, which is exactly what happened, right? We ran all the way to $1.30 almost, and then look at it now. Now it's going back to 30 to 70 cents, right? So again,
Exactly.
play the momentum, play the sentiment, right? And it's potentially okay to hold overnight, potentially, because again, people have that catalyst, right? You have something to look forward to. So I'm holding this because I know there's a merger coming. So I'm okay swinging this position because again, one, it's holding support. Two, it's moving in the right direction, and there's a catalyst coming. So I'm okay with it for now, right? And if that catalyst comes, then I'm done with it because there's nothing else to look forward to, right? And then also I need to manage the position because you have to protect your money. So that's the way you need to play the merger, Shima. Alrighty?
Yes, and very good. Yeah, notice because I'm not very into these kind of mergers and this because it's usually mergers are between small companies, like below the dollar, and I'm not even like liking to trade the dollar, but it's just me. And or usually the mergers when big companies buys out, the small companies and this. But the main thing for Yushima is just open this agreement, open this merger agreement, and look for positive things. Like, oh, we are very pleased. We're gonna raise the cash here and here and here, and then you're gonna go to the dilution tracker. You look for a healthy cash flow and everything. That can dictates you that is strong feeling about company that insiders they believe it. They know what they're doing, and the merger. That's why. But if you see the negative things, you need to read it. You need to read it. If you see negative things, like, oh, we're gonna raise cash through offerings, let's say, so definitely the price gonna drop because they're gonna raise cash through offering. So it's negative sentiment then, okay? But if they already have cash from investors or from whatever it is, so it's a good thing.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
you must always read it, and look for positive things.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. Paul, what time is it for you?
Oh, thank you.
What time is it?
12:55 a.m.
Oh wow, look at that, guys. It's a Sunday morning now for Paul over in Europe, and he's giving us 2 hours of his time in the middle of the night. So Paul, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. Really appreciate
Oh,
that.
thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I hope you guys
Amazing.
help. If something, ask me or
Absolutely.
whatever, and I can explain a little bit. But play with it. Just play with it. And you know how I understood all the things. This very simply, like by just reading, you don't understand. But you go to the history and compare it. You look at the date, you go to the chart, you look at the date, you go to the chart, every single feeling which is important, you go to the chart and look what happened that day. How price action reacted to every single feeling. Either is dilution, either is ownership transaction, either is earnings event, either is the agreement, either is an effect. Everything is having the reaction. Okay, so
Perfect.
play with it. Every single stock you see spiking with no news, not necessarily you just can grab it and participate it. Put it in the pocket, read it. Maybe it's positive thing in the future, and you just add it to the list and waiting for the positive thing to come.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Paul. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.